happen? How do you respond to these moments of adversity? And I know that you're going to pull it through, Jez. I know.
Quite frankly, it worked when I stopped sharing the screen. Go figure.
Yeah.
That's just how it works. Let's try that again, huh?
Yeah.
And share. All right, here we go, Brian.
So the first thing you're going to look at, so Lindsay's in rotation 1 here. So Lindsay's the setter. She's about to go in. Let's go back a little bit, Jez, and let's just watch her start here. Let's break it down. So what I'm going to do for you guys here today is I'm just going to kind of break it down step by step here setting and just talk. I'm just going to talk, and Hannah and Jez are going to jump in. If you have a question, just ask. Like, don't wait till the end or whatever. Just go ahead and ask the question in the very, very beginning. Just ask it in that column on the side, and then Jez let you up. I want it to be conversational. Anyways, if you watch the way Lindsay comes in here, there's a couple things that she does that are super interesting. So if you go back, Jez, and you watch her start, so you want to start with, you don't want the negative steps. So see how immediately she goes in with just her first step. So pause it right a little bit earlier than that, Jez, after the first step. So your first step, you don't want any negative steps, just like a wide receiver, just one step in just like that. Now, the next thing that you want to do, and I'm a little bit different than some other coaches here, and Lindsay doesn't quite get that. Lindsay, can you pause it when the ball is on Kayla Berra's arms? Kayla Berra is the passer guy. She's now a libero at USC. So as we play, Lindsay gets a first step. It's on her arms. So if we pause it when the ball is right on her arms as Lindsay runs in. So Lindsay's running in.
People are trying to get into your room, Brian.
What'd you say?
People are trying to get into the room. That's why it's kind of throwing it off. One second.
You know, if you're late, that you're going to have to pay the price. It's just what you get. I expect punctuality here, Jez. That's just what I expect.
You know, Brian, I'm preaching to the choir, sir. So
if you pause it there, perfect. So you'll see Lindsay isn't quite there. Now, the truth is Lindsay she is incredible in so many ways. She's not the fastest in the world. It's not her best skill. And she'll tell you that. She knows it's okay. There are plenty of things that I wasn't great at also, you know, and that's just one of the things that it wasn't a thing for her. So one thing, no matter what, we like to teach is when that ball is being contacted, just like your feet are on the ground when you're playing defense or doing like that, as she shuffles in, once that ball's off that arms, we want their feet, no matter where they are. Yes, do we want her to be fast and get to that setter position? Absolutely. Absolutely. We want her to get all the way to about 3 feet off the net, face and turning against the passer. That's what we want in an ideal situation. But this was a heck of a serve. It was super fast. It was great. Kayla Berra is actually an elite passer. But it was so fast that Lindsay wasn't able to get there. So what we want is for her to stop her feet as fast as she can off the passer's arms, especially if that comes fast, so that she can move and get to the ball. So like just on defense, is when that ball's being hit by someone and you're playing defense, you want your feet on the ground so you have the ability to move. Same thing as setting from this point. So always prioritize that off of, so then you can react, respond, get to that ball faster over getting to a position on the court. All right, so I just wanted to make that. So let's play it through. So pause it here. So one thing Lindsay does a heck of a job here is look at her setting some middle from this far off the net, but pause in her hands. So one thing that she does really, really well here is she actually, and she does this a little bit different than others, she was setting so much middle from off the net, she actually squares up to the middle and sets over her left shoulder on the go, which is not quite what we liked it because Denny was that good. We actually did it on purpose. But what you want to do is be squaring up to that one particular thing to like Denny on the go. But what she's super good at is rather than jumping and like flying to the ball, she prioritizes making a great set here from 12 feet, 13 feet. So right now her feet, instead of jump setting, and I hear that a lot, like a lot of times I hear setters be like, when do I jump set? How do I jump set? I want to get to this jump setting, you know? And yeah, we all do. We want to be great, but once you got to get really, really good about being on the ground and good with your hands and taking a nice neutral spot, just like Lindsay's doing here to start. So she actually prioritizes this to make a good set. See how centered that ball is on her head too? Like that's where you want to get every single time. So while she's maybe not so fast with her entry footwork, she makes up with it with being so just super, super succinct to the ball so that she can get into this position to set it at 13 feet, which is just shows how much work she actually does in order to get into that position. and allow herself the ability to set quick from this far out. And if you can set some middle from this far out, it makes life on all your other hitters very, 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 very easy. So when you go to set, if you see, you want that nice, comfortable spot right in that neutral spot above your head. So you can set the ball here. You want to set every ball the same way. So that's one thing that I'm really, really big on setters is repeatability and cadence. So after this set, Jez, let's go on. Let's move to 8-13 here.
8-13.
By the way, heck of a set from off the net, guys. So just to be clear, like a lot of times people will in volleyball say like, oh, you know, and I think you feel that way. You want to score a point, you know, you're like, let's not be risky. Let's not be risky, you know? And right here, I would view this play as not a risky play at all because Denny is a really, really good middle. Lindsay's a great setter from off the net, and we absolutely can kill that ball. What's even more interesting is when it doesn't work, it still works. Because now every time after that Lindsay comes off the net and gets to 10 feet, the middle on the other side has to stay there and wait and stay home and worry about the middle. And if the middle is worried about that, then we've won. Like it's always a battle between you and that other middle and how you're kind of making them think. You're always trying to make them think, the middle on the other side, every position really on the other side. So I just wanted to explain why sometimes we feel like a lot of setters, I hear it a lot at this age, at every age, we feel like it's only a good set when you get a kill. And I'm here to tell you, nowhere near the truth. Nowhere near the truth. Because right there, that is a successful set. We didn't get the kill, but now for the rest of the match, that middle is worried over there. They're sitting over there worried, trying to read, and they have to get worried about that middle. So let's move on to 8-13. Again, I never even thought I was going to talk about that, guys. But again, this is a live show, and we're gonna just kind of wing it a little bit. Is this 8-13?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so one thing, guys, I want you to watch the way Lindsay prepares this ball. Pause right here, Jess. A little before that. So right here, pause right here. Pause. Pause. Oh.
People trying to get in the room, Brian. It's throwing me off. And pause.
Like punctuality. Okay, pause right here. So one thing that you're going to see when we talk about, and Hannah's definitely going to talk about this later. I know Hannah's big on this. But when she's going to talk about is basically a cadence. Like you want that same look and repeatability every single time. Why? A lot of different reasons. One is it always gets your hitters basically in rhythm. And that's the one people kind of forget, is if your hitters are seeing that same exact look over and over again, they know what's going to happen. They feel more comfortable. And as setters, you always kind of got to please your hitters, right? You want them to like the ball that they're getting. You want them to like being set by you. So really, if they can expect what they're going to get out of you every single time that looks the same, they're going to be in more rhythm. We're going to get more kills. We're going to win more matches. The other thing is it's actually the most deceptive thing. Because if I'm here and I'm looking that same way every single time and I have that same look, all the blockers, all the defenders, all the coaches on the other side, they can't tell where I'm going to go. It's not like I'm looking one way and doing another. I'm believing in the structure that I have. Basically, setting is basically just if you can answer these two questions of like, A, can you set, do you have the threat of setting everything from that spot where you're comfortable with? And B, can you locate from that same spot with every one of those sets? If you can answer those questions, yes, you're in a very, very good space, like a good territory. Like just to break it down and make it as simple as possible. So in this clip, the one thing I want you to watch is what I call, and there's many different words from that. It's one thing I want to be clear about. It's funny, it's sometimes in volleyball, like me and Hannah talk a lot about some of the same things, but we use different words. And it's so funny because I'll hear some people and they'll be like, well, you know, Hannah came up and she said this, and you said this, and one of you has to be right and one of you has to be wrong. A, false. You can be right and right. That is a thing that happens. Or wrong and wrong. And also, there's many times that I look over and I'm like, Hannah said the same exact thing I did, just in a different way. And I think that learning that that's a thing is pretty important too. So anyways, what you'll see with Lindsay and cadence here, she's going to go left, right, and up. And as she goes, her draw is going to be super simple. And if you watch her, we're going to see 3 different sets from her. And I'm telling you, all from the time and space that she goes her left foot to right foot and up to when she touches the ball. So the draws from here to here. So you go left, right, draw, and up to set. And I'm telling you, from the times that Lindsay, like, it's basically just like a drum beat. So like if you go, everyone has a little bit different of a drum beat. Like Lindsay's was actually pretty fast. Like once we get that clip up there again, she goes really, really fast with her feet. So it'll be a left, right, super, super, super quick. So her cadence is actually a little bit faster than most, but it's the same every single time. So when you're at home, you should be thinking, how do I go left, right, close your eyes, left, right, up to touch the ball, and then set. And that time and space that you do that over and over again is just like a drum beat. So anyone that's musical, think about it that way. Be like, how do I get that drum beat the same? Mine was like, ba-da, ba, ba-da, ba. And Lindsay's was a little faster than that. But if I could play that drum beat in my head, then I knew that I was being repeatable. Because the thing that's tough, the thing that's the most difficult about being repeatable as a setter is your brain gets in the way. This thing's crazy, guys. It's crazy powerful. And so like there's a pretty significant reason of why you can't like tickle. Like if I touch myself like this, right? I'm touching myself, I can't tickle myself because my brain's telling myself, I'm already knowing, it's telling all my sensors that I'm going to do that. It's predictable. So I know that, and that's why it doesn't, I'm not laughing because it's not funny. But if someone else were to touch me there, I don't know what's going to happen, and therefore it's funny. And like the same thing, and it affects me that way. The same thing happens with setting as to where I'm going up to set, and I know already that I'm going to set back. So I'll start doing things to already give it up because my brain basically is telling my body that I know what I'm already doing. So you have to kind of trick in order to stay neutral and have that same look as much as possible. So left, right, cadence up and touch. And then how do you keep that same exact look is almost tricking your brain into like being as straight and neutral as possible. So we'll watch Lindsay's cadence here. And I want you to really watch in slow motion. I believe she sets a, what is this? This is a quick to start. So we're gonna let this play through, Jez, and then watch her left, right, the time and space from she touches the ball to set quick, and then the very next set when she touches the go. Let's go back, let's rewind a little bit. Watch the left, right here. Boom. Left, right, and up. And that ball's in that same spot in her hand. So let's watch this play for her. Here she comes again. Left, right, and up. Exactly the same. And so those are two different sets and a really, really good example of her having that same exact repeatable look every time that she's setting, regardless of what she's choosing to set. She's a really, really good repeatable setter. That's why she's so good at this example. All right. And then just to show you a quick red, let's go to 938. Thank you, Jez. So if we go to 938, watch the same repeatability here. Left, right, right overhead. See where she took the ball to? Let's watch that one again. So she's off the net. Pause it. After the left, right, let's pause in her hands here. So see this? See how fast her left, right is? You don't necessarily have to be that fast with how your left, right. It's a little different for everybody. You want it to be natural. Like, what's yours? It's basically like, how do you walk? What's natural to you? And hers was a little faster. So you embrace that. You embrace what's natural for her and what's natural for her, what puts her in this repeatable mode. Now, if I'm being like crazy, as you see that, see how she's squared up to the red and simply setting the ball over her right shoulder. So watch the limited motion that she has right here. It's crazy. Yeah, the ball's slightly higher from where she's taking to go. She takes it a little bit lower than that, but watch how smooth this set is without anything moving at all. Look at that. Like that is super, super quiet and still. Look at that. And so the less moving parts that you have, when you're just here, she's here, just going right over her right shoulder, the less moving parts that you can produce while setting, the more likely you are to be able to locate with pace. And so I just wanted you to see how Lindsay was setting every single set, regardless of where she was on the court or what she was choosing to set, the same exact repeatable way. And without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Hannah. Everybody give Hannah like a cheer. I want to cheer for Hannah. Let's see some applause for Hannah. I want to do that. Let's do collective cheer. There you go. How'd that feel? You can't hear it, Hannah, but you can tell they're clapping.
Hannah, unmute yourself.
Okay.
Unmute yourself, Hannah.
I'm trying.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. I can't unmute and mute it because of the host.
Sorry.
Yes, cameo. Hannah, who's that?
Who do you got?
It's Hugo's little sister.
Dude, I'm telling you, you got to embrace the cameos in this situation. What's Hugo's sister's name?
Camila.
Camila. If you want, I mean, use her as an example. This is the perfect opportunity here, Hannah, just to throw her in there, you know?
No. So, I mean, I'm talking more about the midline stuff. So just piggybacking off of what Brian was talking about, I think one of the main things to remember is that how Lindsay was setting the ball, her feet were there. So, I mean, we could say, yes, go right, left, right, but you don't want to go left, right, and jump super forward because you're not going to know, one, can you set everywhere, right? So it's really important that you make sure that you're doing the right footwork and then you're jumping straight up, okay? So how do I share that video?
I'll play it,
Oh, thanks, Jess.
Which one do you want?
Let's do the YouTube one first, and then we'll do the outdoor one, and then I'll talk them through.
The taking ball midline, that one?
Yes, please.
All right. So talking through it, Hannah. This video is on.
Perfect. So, yes, you see me talking to Coach Brent here, and so right now I'm talking about how we prep our hands. Okay, so I usually start off with any kid that I teach, and it sounds like a really funny question, but what type of ball do we play with? Right? So they're usually like a round ball? It's like, yes, a volleyball. Right? Because we're not going to play with a big bouncy ball because we shape them like this, right? So I'm all about making sure that our hands are prepped. Okay, so many different ways to teach it. You can be relaxed, you can be stiff. I know there was one setter who I used to watch, and she would always just start off so firm, but it was just solid every time. Some setters would start really relaxed. I was kind of in the middle. So there's no wrong way, there's no right way. There are just different ways to do it. So right now we want to talk about our preparation. So I usually like to start off with our hands in the shape of the ball, right? And you'll kind of see like a little triangle when you make it. And then something that I used to teach like my first year setters who haven't really set before, because I'm a very visual person and I'm kinesthetic, so I have to do it, but I also have to see it. So if you really don't know where your midline is, we could say it's above your head, but where? Like it's not going to be like super, super far out, right? Because you probably can't set anywhere unless, you know, men's setters are really good at doing that because they're just very, very strong. So I usually like to say, get your thumbs, do a thumbs up, put it above your eyebrows, and then boom, you're there. Because you can go anywhere you want from this way. So Des, you could play it through. That's basically what I was talking to Coach Brown about. And so it's basically one of those things where you can, yep, there you go. So you can do this in the car. You can do this at your house, just walking around, just constantly taking it in the same spot over and over and over again. And then if you want to start challenging yourself, you can start moving around a little bit, and you can start making sure that you can start practicing that cadence. And we'll get to video with that in a second, but making sure that you're taking it in the same spot. I'm not really caring about what the set looks like. I'm more about how are you doing it, and the result will come just after you practice it more and more. So that's the midline in a nutshell. And then we have a fun video to watch about doing something at home and bouncing the ball, doing your footwork, and making sure that your last two steps, left, right, making sure that your right foot is slightly in front of your left. That's just going to set yourself up for being really balanced when you set. So, yeah.
Running it, Hannah.
Do it again.
Yep. Okay, so in volleyball, okay, no offense to our passers, no offense to anybody, but our passes aren't going to be perfect every single time. So we're going to have to run. And with this drill, yes, there was wind. There are so many factors, but it's about, okay, yes, it's not probably going to be pretty how I get my feet to the ball. It's just, am I going to get my feet to the ball? That's the number one thing. That's Mammy back there.
Sorry.
It's okay. So Yeah, I try not to laugh seeing them in the back. So so it's not about how pretty do I look. It's just about, am I gonna get fast enough to get there, and am I gonna be balanced enough? So you could see in the video that the ball started moving a little bit this way. So I'm here, and then you're starting to track it, and boom, you're balanced, making sure that my right foot was forward. So that's something that you can definitely implement at home. If you're getting tired of setting against the wall, start doing some stuff like that. Be really, I know there's only so much you can do, but just be really, have fun with it. You can start by going really simple, just straight up, practicing it. And then once you start getting really comfortable, start bouncing it further and further, and then just make sure you don't break anything. That's just my number one thing. Just don't break anything.
Would you like to see Hannah break something? I think we can see Hannah break something. Hold on one second.
We would always love to watch Hannah break something. The answer is always yes to that, just to let everybody know.
Let me see if I can cue it up real quick.
I promised I was good at volleyball. Was.
Is this the one? Is this it? No, is it? Oh, there we go. Just breaking some house right here.
Oh, Mom!
Yeah, I got in a little bit of trouble after that, but it's okay. It's fine.
Brian, why do you keep muting?
I don't know, but that was an amazing video. Guys, that was, be careful at home. And if your parents say don't do it, don't do it. But also, that was awesome.
Yeah, please don't throw my name in there. Coach Hannah did it too. No, I did not. I didn't.
Oh, that was awesome.
So yeah, I mean that's basically it, you guys, and making sure that you can always ask yourself, can I go every single direction? And I'm really big about the footwork. All right, that's one thing I'm very picky about, because I think as soon as you get your feet there, you can set yourself up for success, distributing all your steps to your hitters. So that's huge for me. So Coach Brian, back to you.
Yeah, so I just, again, want to let you guys know, if you have any questions at all, literally about setting, I will answer everything in the most honest way that you could possibly ever get. I swear to you, I will answer honestly. So literally, if you have everything, go ahead, throw it out there. Don't be scared. And then even if there's something that you're curious about setting-wise, it's just different than this, you can send me a note through your coach. They can come and contact me, and I'll gladly send you anything that you need. All right, so let's go with Jez with the link 2 that starts at 42 seconds, the second link on the Tony Udy one.
All right, give me a second.
Starts at 42 seconds. So one thing that we're going to discuss here today is a little bit about how to run an offense and what you're looking for with that, because it's something that kind of goes when we're working on the physical play together, when you go to clinics and you're doing that stuff, it ends up being a lot about kind of physical mechanics. So I just kind of wanted to go through a couple clips here with you guys to show you a couple things about kind of how do you set things up? How do you start running an offense, So let's go to that clip at 42 seconds. So one thing that I like to do with every single, what you're about to see here is a clip of, I always mess up his last name, so let's pause it here, Jez, sorry. And it's, his name's Bone Tiudi. I always mess this up. It's like Bone Tiudi or something. No, it's, what is it?
Tanuti?
Tony Udy. So I actually played against this guy, and then now I coach against this guy, and he's super, super good about running an offense. And he's little. He's just about like a 6-foot guy playing with monsters. So it's really funny to watch, and he's the best. How I was talking about Lindsey Kelly being the best I've seen in terms of repeatability, this guy's the best in terms of finding angles and trajectory lines within his offense and then using that to misdirect afterwards. Now, I realize I used a lot of words that maybe some of you don't know. I am going to explain that right now, okay? So that's the whole point of this. So if we watch this clip out, Jez, in slow-mo, please. Let's let this play through. We're going to get a better angle. So let's pause right here. So let's pause, and it goes to this backside angle here. So just to let you guys know, when you're watching volleyball, if you want to learn, let's pause right when it gets there, learn volleyball, really what you want is to see it from this angle. Because if you're watching it from this angle, that's how you can actually see how everyone's moving together, what we're really looking for, all the moving parts, how does it actually work together. And if they could figure out how to make this volleyball interesting on TV, we'd see more of this. There's no doubt about it. And so what I want you guys to look at here is what his name's Tony Udy is doing here is he actually gets lower and takes the ball lower to create a better, I call them lines. So when you hear the word trajectory, all that means is that the line of the ball where every hitter is about to hit, where the middle is about to hit, the line of that ball to the outside is really, really close to the seam. And so when you're designing an offense, the one thing you want to do is you want to make sure that every time that you're running a play, no matter what rotation that you're in, that every single blocker has to think about 2 to 3 things. If you ever have something where you're running an offense where one blocker's only worried about one thing, you want to be doing something different. You always want people to think about multiple things because the brain can only handle like 1, maybe 2 things. So if you increase the amount that your blockers have to be concerned about, the amount of the threats that they have in front of them, the significant threats, if that gets increased, if that number goes up, then your chances of them being overloaded is way, way higher. So what I like to do is make sure when I'm designing an offense that every single rotation, every single blocker has multiple things to worry about on the other side. 3 things, 4 things. The higher you can get, the more you can get, the better off you're going to be. So one thing that you'll see when I talk about trajectories and lines, if you watch this set, watch where the ball, when Jez pauses this, passes the middle. So as you're running the offense as setters, you want to think about these things. So see how close that gets right to where his hand would be. So right there, Tony Udy is pushing it on the same exact line that the middle would be at on a 1 in order to get to a go. Let's see it play through. So let's play it through one more time, slow motion. So see how he actually gets lower. So a lot of times you're taught get higher, but in reality, in this particular play, when he got lower, it makes it harder for the middle blocker on the other side to see where that ball is going to land. The other middle can't tell where that's going to set, where that ball is going to go. So it's important that what you want to do is actually where your hitter, your middle's hand is. You want to be trying to get as close to that hand or on the same line as whatever middle set that you're running. So if your middle set's slower, then your outside set should be slower to try and match that trajectory, that line on one side, while the other side is misdirecting. So right here, we're still in a trajectory play where the middle, who's Lucas, this guy's really good and big and gnarly, but like the middle can't tell if that's going to be a push or a 1 or it's going to be a shoot based upon the trajectory of the ball or the line of the ball right here. So let's play it all the way from the start again, Jez, just to take one more look at it. See that? Real low, but right by that middle's hand makes it impossible to read. So let's go to 216. So I know there's a lot of boys and guys out there, and you guys are wondering, and girls too, because we're running the BIC, we're running it well now. One of the best teams I had here at SG was running the BIC, one of my better BIC teams. So just to show you what this looks like, a BIC is a trajectory or a line play. So as a setter, you want to find the line of that middle. Let it go to the next one, Jez. It'll come to the back scene here. Right here. So pause it. So as you see, the middle gets close. So the middle's going to jump. One thing that you'll see, the middle's jumping way farther back. I know I'm going to go on tangents because that's what I do. But a lot of times you see middles jumping from right on the net and then barely being able to hit the ball down. You know, they're hitting the ball way back here. Setters, it's okay to remind your middle, stay off the net so you can get full swings. Look how far he's jumping from back. You know, you're going to be probably 2 feet closer than that, but not as much as you would think. So again, watch what the setter, Tony Udy, I call him Bone Tootie, was finding. Watch the line that he finds here. So all he's doing is seeing the middle, finding the line that's going over the top of the middle, and setting the BIC hitter on that same line. Let's see it. Great. See that? So it makes it really hard. If you watch the middle commits because everything looks like it's going to be a middle. So that middle jumps with the middle because it's so accurate with being on the same line. You guys see how that is on the same? You guys know what I mean? Nod your heads if I can see if you know what I mean by see how that's on that same exact line. So you can do this with your teams too, especially out in front, whether that's with a 3 or whatever. Speaking of 3s, let's go to that. So let's go to 209 on link 1, Jez. 209 on link 1.
Hold on, Brian. I'm going to let some people into the room first, then I'll go to that.
no, Jez.
Sorry, I'm gonna try and be quick about it. I'm gonna try and be quick.
No, I know you're nice to these tardy people, but it's like, can we make them run lines in front of all of us? Can we put their screens on and they have to run lines like back and forth as we all cheer them on? Is that?
I could.
Okay, I don't actually think that's probably a good thing to do. To be
Probably
honest with you, but I felt like throwing it out there.
All right, here we go. 209.
209. So you're gonna see the same thing with a go and a wide here. Actually, this is a true gap. So this is on his professional team. So go back to the beginning before as he prepares here. So he's again he takes it a little lower than most, to be honest. He's a little bit low. So pause. So see how he drops his hands there at the very last second? The reason why he's dropping his hands is to get lower to create that same line. So he actually sees the middle and drops his hands in order for it to basically be a better set. So it's harder for the middle and the other blockers to pick up right here. Now what you're seeing is this middle is running a true gap. So what this does is this puts a true gap. If you see number 9, this middle right here is running at that gap in between the blockers. He's actually kind of on the left foot of the right side blocker right now. And so that's kind of a true gap. What you'll see, what this does is this overloads the right side blocker. So right now, the right side blocker has to think about this middle and getting out fast to this go. While the middle has to think about this middle, has to think about Tony Udy throwing the ball over the net because he does that, has to think about the BIC as well. So they're thinking about 3 things. So that's 2, 3, and then this left side blocker's got to think about the BIC and also the right side. So he's got 2 as well. So it's all about kind of overloading each blocker. So he drops the hands, finds the trajectory line, shoots it right over the hand of the middle, and it ends up being a really, really nice trajectory or line play. So now what happens is you're constructing an offense. You always want to be setting up. Like I'm playing a team right here, and this is what Bone Tootie does to us all the time, is they're going to stress us on the right side of the court. So they're going to start the match running gap, go, gap, go, gap, go. And actually they run a wide, which you'll see a little bit later when he's playing with his national team, which puts even more stress on the right side blocker. But what they're doing is creating stress. So all of a sudden over here, you start worrying as a blocker about how do I get to the right side? I got to be fast. I got to worry about all this stuff on the right side. Now, once that happens, you go to the misdirect option. So you're always kind of setting a team up. And there's different ways to always set a team up. Usually it depends on you're trying to find their weakness, or you're just really good at something. There's a bunch of different ways of how you can set something up, but always be running something to basically set something after that the next time around. Like always have like a plan. And that doesn't mean it's going to be right. Like I tell a lot of my setters, like, if you're thinking, you're never wrong. Like if you're thinking about that and you can evaluate, you can tell me what you're thinking, you're on the right track. But if you're mindlessly just chucking the ball out there without thinking, then we've got to kind of come up with some different approaches. So let's watch this from the very beginning again over just one more clip before we move on, Jess. Sorry.
Of course.
So over the gap right here, you can see how worried that blocker is on it. He has to commit on it. So he commits on the middle because it looks the same right there. Yep, really nice play. Let's go to 209 on link 1.
209 or 217?
Oh, sorry. Let's go to 042 on link 2. My apologies.
042 on link 2.
Yep. Actually, no. Just kidding. On link 2, 26. No.
17. The D ball.
Link 1, 217. Yes. Sorry.
D ball.
So now, after they've established that, so they've put a significant threat on the right side. So you saw all those guys are worried about that. So what you do as a setter is you think always, how is the middle? Look, brains, we're short, like we always think about what happened last. So as a setter, always think about, it's always you versus that middle. What is that other middle thinking? What just happened last? And if I set right here, all of a sudden, like say, for example, I did what Bone Tootie did, and I set a gap, and then I set a go, and I looked over the net, and I saw the other team start to get worried about this. I can see the coach coming out and talk to the middle about, hey, you got to take care of that other middle. You got to take care of this. I know the right side isn't feeling good about this because he just got burned by the go. So I know they're going to be super concerned with this right side. So what's the next thing that I do? What's the next thing that's going to mess him up? And that is running the exact same play, having the same look. If you look at Bone Tootie's approach right here, yes, he's a little lower. He takes it a little lower than most, but he doesn't look different than what he sets the other two sets, okay? And so oftentimes we're looking for setters that set in one way. Not the case. They all set in a little bit different ways, but they all are able to do a couple different things. That's, again, being able to set that thread of setting everything and being able to locate and having consistency with your release. Both your hands doing the same exact thing, which he's particularly good at. So again, so after this, he knows he'd set him up all that, set him up on the right side. Now all he's going to do is he's watching. He knows that where he's going to flick that thing back. Let's watch that. And that's just a really nice volleyball play. That's how you set up and run an offense, guys, just like that. He's probably one of the better ones in the world at doing it. And then let's go to Jez on link 2. Let's go to the 25 seconds.
25 seconds?
25 on link 2. Actually, you know what? That was good enough. We can move on. I'm totally good with that.
All right.
So I actually think that's it. That's all I have for today for you guys. I just wanted to set up how to show an offense and how to run, what those lines look like, and how you guys can search for those.
You want to show Lindsay running the wide shoot?
Yeah. Oh, that's what I wanted to do, Jez. This is why, guys, look, if you're going to get good teammates, okay, I need Jez. I would have just forgot something. The most important thing maybe I would have just forgot. But if I didn't have Jez here to have my back and let me know that I messed up, then there's nothing I can do. So I want to go back to Lindsay's clips. Thank you, Jez. I thought there was maybe something more.
You're welcome.
Let's go to, God, where was that?
You want the wide or the wide shoot?
213.
The wide.
So oftentimes it's funny, like when I show these clips, so 213 on Lindsay Kelly, the alumni video. Yeah. So oftentimes I'll show, it's funny, like I have this talk all the time because I now coach here, pause it, Jez. I coach, I coach the national team dudes. I coach at the top level for the national team guys. I played at that level, and now I coach girls. I also coach you guys, and I love it. I love it. I love coaching like all the different groups. And the most interesting thing I hear over and over again is when we first started running a BIC, people would say, oh, like girls don't do that. And I'm like, no way. Like we had really good BIC hitters. We do that. And oftentimes you'll see a professional team or professional guys do something. And you'll go, well, we can't do that because, we're not professionals. We don't have that ability. So I wanted to show you a clip of just that same exact sort of offensive play that we ran with our 18s team. And I hear it all the time. It's funny. It's crazy. I hear it all the time. I'll hear like some kind of play, and then there's this weird excuse that happens. They'll be like, that's a 6-year-old girl thing. I go, no, it's not. I just dealt with the same issue with a 30-year-old man like 2 days ago, guys, okay? It's a human thing. So you guys are all good enough to do all these things. All it takes is just a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, some hard work, that's all it really takes, a little bit of time, some hard work. So I wanted to show you Lindsay running this exact same offense that one of the best setters in the world does. So this is exactly the same thing. We're running that wide with the go. Let's play it, Jez. And so that's the wide where Denny's hitting it, the same play. We basically ran this is 2 years ago. This team was designed to run more of like France's offense, but this year wasn't quite the case, and the year before that too. But this was more of kind of that style of offensive team. So this is a wide all the way out, Lindsay going. Now let's see the go over the top. That's the next clip, Jez.
14:49. I'm on it.
Yep. And so I want to show you this last trajectory play because it's really good. And Jez, if you can try to pause it right, just to show how close Lindsay gets here, right as it passes Denny.
Pretty
yeah,
close.
So look how close we got. And Simone's jumping right there. Simone's the outside hitter in the red. How good we got at trajectory here with this particular team. And so I just want to show you running it that fast, that wide, just like France at this level. And this is a team that won a bronze medal at the open level doing something like this as a very, very undersized team. So I just wanted to show you guys a clip. Let's play it through about you guys being able to do all that stuff. You guys can do it all. There's no doubt about it. In fact, most of the times that I come in and I'm working with the gym and people ask me, like, what's it like to go from like the national team level down to the girls level? I'm like, honestly, it's impressive. Like every time I get back in the girls SG gym, I'm I'm shocked at how much better people got. I'm literally amazed a lot of times at how skilled like the players are. I've never seen players like be this skilled at this age for you guys, and that's been a really, really fun part for me coaching at SG. So yeah, that's my setters clinic. If you have any questions, again, like I'll answer super honestly. We're here to answer. Me and Hannah will answer this last 10 minutes if there are some. I don't know if there are some.
We have a lot of shy people today.
Oh,
questions today, if
maybe,
any.
Maybe that's because me, Hannah, and you are so shy. You know,
That could also be true.
Yeah, they're.
Should we? So, guys, floor is open. If any of you guys have any questions, comment.
Oh, I see one. I got one privately. Oh,
Hey,
I should probably not say that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go, buddy.
So, the drills to do at home, I think the one that Hannah did was really, really good. The one thing that I really liked about what Hannah was doing is the one thing that I'm seeing over and over again is just kids at home just setting it off a wall over and over again. And what Hannah was doing was creating a way for it to build a little bit of chaos to make it more realistic to where you're trying to get your feet to the ball. And that's the most important part, as she said earlier. And I think that's a really good drill at home. There's tons of ball things that you can do. You can look up tons of stuff online that you can look up and see. Hannah, do you have any ideas for that?
Yeah. I mean, there's stuff that on our SG volleyball YouTube page. There's stuff that you can do at home. I do some of the stuff, and then Coach Henry, I think Coach Henry was in here. I think he is. Coach Henry was also doing stuff too with settings. So both from the girls and the guys, there's not really that much difference. It's just different coaches teaching it. So that's also some stuff you can do to pull off. And then watch a lot of film. I was really big on watching film.
Dude, by the way, I was stoked here to see a bunch of like non-setters. And it's an important skill when you're not a non-setter. Setting is a super important skill. And so like you guys are non-setters here that are putting up like hittable balls. Yeah, it's important. Like it's funny, like there's been this thing that's happened over the last like 10 years or something, this specialization thing where you come in and you only learn this one skill. And like that happened to me. Like I'm a terrible hitter. Guys, I played in the Olympics. I can't swing. I'm terrible. I have a horrible arm. And it's because when I grew up, no one really taught me how to hit. I was strictly a setter. So learn every skill. You're going to have to set. One of the first things we start working on with 18s is out-of-system setting and non-setters setting and being able to put up good hittable balls. The more hittable balls you can put up for hitters, the more swings you get, the more matches you're going to win. You know, so.
Brian, we got another one.
We
got two more.
How long do you think it'll take to make the transition from hitter to setter?
Really interesting and good question. It depends. I mean, it depends. I've seen it happen like pretty fast for people that just have unique skills that were just lucky and talented. That's the case. And I've seen it take, I would say a solid, like in order to be playing and competing at a level, I would say a solid year under your belt is pretty good. I would think a year is probably pretty good to transition, but I don't know. What do you think, Anna?
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I've seen different timelines. I've seen girls take a little bit longer. But they also didn't have the resources that some of the girls do here, where private lessons are huge, being in the gym every single day. So I think I'd agree with Brian around a year. If you really want to push it sooner, it's just going to take a lot of extra work and a lot of discipline, like doing stuff outside of the court. Just an hour on the court a day isn't what's going to get you there. And sometimes, game-like, it's so much different than private. Games are not as slow as private lessons. You're not going to be as slow tossing a ball, whereas in your game, your eyes are going super, super fast. So it's really about how quickly can you adapt to what is going on. And then building that little setter IQ is huge too. So it's just a matter of how hard you work. But I would say probably a good year where you can finally feel really confident going into the game.
And then even too, like, I don't know about you, but I was like every level, no matter, Hannah, I don't know about you, but every level that I've had when I've had to move up. So I view that as if you're going from a hitter to a setter, that's an entirely new experience at a new level. And don't quit right away. That's all I'm saying. Like as soon as you go in, it's always fast when you start something new, regardless when it was the jump from high school to college, from college to the Olympic professional level. It's like every single jump that you make, even from JV to varsity. Like I went my freshman tryouts. I was terrible at volleyball. So it's just, you never really, it's just that speed. When you feel like it's fast, it will slow down. Like the more that you do that, no matter the level, when you get to that spot, it will come. Like it will slow down. So just because it's fast and it feels like a little scary as you're making those steps and it's a little uncomfortable, I encourage you to keep pushing through that a little bit, because it always slows down. It's just a matter of time. Sometimes it takes longer than others, but it's a matter of time.
You two got another question. For practicing back sets at home, about how far away should your target be for the ideal set?
Ooh, really good question. And I think it's a super good question, because I think you're looking for that ideal set. The reality is there's no real ideal length of set. Like if you look at the volleyball court, right, and the passes being, if we were all perfect passes, that would be amazing. Like actually, you know what? That would be terrible. I hate setting perfect passes. It's just like standing there, you're like, whatever, you know? Like I'd rather get off and do some stuff. But if there's like basically you want to just do it at a bunch of different heights and trajectories or lines, like I was talking about before, the more that you can get used to basically the feeling of what your hands are doing. The one thing about back setting I want you guys to realize and understand is it's all feel. Like you're never going in there and going like looking at the set and being like, how far did that go? And I got to see where it goes. Is that a foot? Like, you know where it goes. You get good at knowing. The more that you do it, the more you kind of know right out of your hands what that feel like, how far that it went. But work on different distances. Work on different trajectories and different distances. Just make sure you just keep working on all the different stuff with that. All right. Hannah, you got anything with that?
No, that was good.
I rambled for enough. I hit enough points that were in my ramble. That was good. That's good.
Another one, guys. How do non-setters practice setting?
How do non-setters practice setting? Hannah, you look like you had something.
Yeah, there was a twinge in the face.
No, it was like interesting. So I think, just get used to, you can always practice both bump setting and hand setting too. And then start practicing what the ball starts to feel like coming out of your hands. And then always remember the footwork. So it's all the same. Setters, non-setters, everything stays the same. So it's just a matter of where you want to start. So do you want to start working on your hands, or do you want to start working on your footwork? So I think if you start to pick one of those things, then you could really implement what you're doing at home to start building that skill. And then once you start getting a little bit more comfortable, then you can start to move on to the next one. But it's the same thing. You know, we don't teach hitting any differently for non-hitters. So just keep it really simple. It's the same stuff, Brian.
Yeah. Like I just think if say you're playing outside hitter and you're in area 6, you know, you're in the backcourt and you have to set a ball. Like just the one change that I would make as a non-setter setting is take the whole deception aspect out of it. Like you're never trying to be deceptive as a non-setter setting. So if you're an outside hitter setting the ball, don't try to like trick anybody out. Like just set a hittable ball. You know, like that's the most important thing when you're in that position. Just you know, hit a just set up a hittable ball.
We got a few more. When is the best time to call for help? When is the best time to call for help?
I need to call for help for a haircut immediately. Okay, how about that? That is what I need to call for help for. You should probably call for help. Also, I can only see, it's funny, I only have like 5 screens up here. And I think because we opened up Ellie Chu earlier, I see like Hannah, Jez, Ellie Chu, Kenji, and then Leilani. And when I said that about my hair, I saw Ellie Chu just crack up laughing like she'd never, like it actually just, Ellie, you embarrassed me. Nice job. What was the question?
When is the best time for setters to call for help? This is a problem that, you know, a lot of teams run into.
So I think setters wait a little bit too long, because I think you're told, oftentimes, like you're told, hey, you go make that set, it's your ball. And while that's true, you do have ownership over that. Like put your team first. And what I mean by that is whoever can make the best possible set for you guys to get your kill, that's what you want to do it. So there's like this year I had 2 liberos on my 18s team who were really, really great setters. Both of them were great setters. So it was much easier for them to just take 2 steps and go set a perfect ball if that ball was getting way off the net. So we actually changed our system to be the liberos take those balls off the net just because they were making really good sets rather than like a setter running out and jumping 9 feet, trying to do something crazy to get it out there. And that's just who we were as a team. So what I would say is call it early, and if someone else can make a better set than you can that you think can get a kill in, then absolutely call it. The one thing that I will say though is say name. Try to say name as much as possible. Like as soon as you start saying like help, 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 and then you got like 8 people like how do I help? What's doing? You know, the more specific that you can be when calling it, probably the better. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Hannah?
No, I'm really big on that. Name and action. So you can say Brian, and you're like, what? You know. So maybe like Brian sit, and then okay, now I know what I need to do. But that was big. That's good. Good stuff.
By the way, and this is totally random, but like every time I see this so often, and this has nothing to do with setting, but just how many times does like, you know, when the ball goes like right off the block or whatever, and it kind of pops up right like above someone, and everyone always looks like this. Like just look, let's look up. Everyone yell up from now on. Let's look up at where the ball is. I just want to say that. I know that had nothing to do with anything, so I apologize.
All right. How much time should we practice per day or per week, do you guys think?
Oh, wow. Who asked that?
Wow.
Lala Minasian.
We got a Minasian up here? I love it.
Not the same one, Brian. Not the same one.
It's different for every team. I've had some teams. Now there's pretty significant research coming out now that shows that like the longer hours actually aren't better, you know? Like that it actually there's an amount of time that you hit that once you hit that threshold, you're actually doing nothing. You're not getting any better. No one's getting any better. So a lot of the actually like high level teams are actually limiting practice hours a little bit and being a little bit more succinct, but going real hard. And that's what I like personally. I like going in, going hard, and hard, I mean playing really good volleyball, intense volleyball, increase the intensity for lower amounts of time and decrease the amount of injury and the amount of wear and tear. That's my personal philosophy on that. I don't know, Hannah, how you feel. And there's no right answer for that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same. There would be some times in college where we would have maybe 2-hour practices, and then there would be times where my coach would call it after 1 hour and 15 because he saw that we went hard, and he goes, okay, you know what? They're just going to go downhill. Let's just cut it. When I played club, sometimes my privates wouldn't even go an hour. It'd go maybe like 35 minutes just because there's only so much you can do. And like the attention span, the way your brain works, you're just like, you know, going back and forth. So just really, it's about quality.
It's about quality. And by the way, if it goes longer than 2 hours, I start to get hungry. I'm just being honest. I'm like, I'm hungry here. I need a snack. We need to get this thing done.
All right, guys, we got another. How would you speed up your sets and release?
Ooh.
Who was that? All?
Allie.
All. How did you all form one? Never mind. But there's it's interesting. I'm cautious with that question. Because I think initially, I get this question a lot. How do I speed up my hands? How do I speed up my hands? And I think it comes from some coaches saying like, well, you just need a fast release. You got to have a fast release. And I'm like, let's get our release right first, and then we can speed it up. So like, I'd be practicing first, like, how do you get that consistency? And then before speeding it up, there's a couple things you can do. So I would challenge Allie here. I would like to see you set personally, so I can watch and see how fast, and maybe, because a lot of times I'll hear that and I'll look at the speed out of the ball out of the setter's hands. I'll go, that's fine. That's totally fine. It doesn't need to be any faster. It's actually more of a structural issue than anything else, you know? So I'll challenge that. If you do have a little bit of a slower release, there's a couple things that you can do to speed it up. One is really, really fast succinct tosses, so that if someone else is tossing the ball to me, I just start going really fast. Right? I'm not thinking about it. I'm just getting it out. Another thing is actually firing the ball a little bit at your hand, so you're learning at just misdirecting it. So there's a couple little drills. So what I mean by that is like having someone toss a ball directly at your hands, and then you're firing it out of your hands back at them as fast as possible, just kind of speed it up. So those are ways to do it, but I don't know if it's the right thing to do, and I'm not going to recommend it until I actually see it. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, it's hard just because it's one of those things where I was taught about like the arm. You know, my college coach is really big on the ball nose angles, and so you're consistent when you're doing this type of finish. And sometimes my college coach would pull out a speed watch and he'd see, okay, you got to get that ball out there at whatever seconds. And I was like, oh my God. So it was just a matter of I would just not overthink, but overcompensate how fast I was shooting that ball. And sometimes I think about basketball, like chest passing. So it's almost like I'll have a partner and I'll just shoot that ball. I'm like, okay, I just want to get the feel of how fast my arms can go and play around with it. And then as soon as I start feeling comfortable with what that feels like, then I'll start doing it above my head and then just start setting it. And I don't care if it looks pretty or not. I'm just worried about how fast am I getting it.
Yeah. I had a little bit of a release that was probably a little too fast, actually. But it was like, but I think if, like, for you guys, I want you guys to, like, prioritize smooth over fast to start. You know, always see how smooth you can be over fast. That's it.
More questions.
We got a few more. How would you practice? Well, best ways to improve your setting at home. I mean, we got a lot of guys right now who are at home, obviously.
Yeah. I'll parlay. Not parlay. I'm just gonna, because we kind of answered that earlier. So, but I am gonna say that don't forget about the brain. Like, I used to just sit, and I didn't even realize what I was doing. Like, I literally didn't even realize what I was doing. But in college, I would literally lay in bed before we were playing practice, and I would go through, like, in my mind, I would start to imagine myself setting. Like, I'd literally be in bed before I was going to sleep, imagining myself setting the ball, imagine setting the perfect go, imagine setting that perfect gap, imagine setting that. What is that? And more often than not, what does that feel like? Like, yeah. And that actually does a ton of work. There was a study done where they took basketball teams at the same level, 3 different teams at the same level. And what they did is they took one team and they did only physical training. I mean, they went to practice and they dribbled the ball. They did the spider drill. I don't freaking know what basketball people do, but they did a bunch of basketball drills, all right? And they only did physical training. The second team did half visualization, where they're literally sitting there for half the time just visualizing practice. That means in their mind they're going, all right, you're in layup lines, you dribble the ball your right hand, you dribble the ball your left hand, what's the leather feel like in your hands, all that kind of stuff, you know? And they did that half the time and trained physically half the time. And then one team did only mental work. They didn't do any physical work for a month. They literally did only visualization. They sat there. And at the end of the month, when they did the study, and they charted basically the improvement of the team collectively and individually. And both individuals and collectively, they basically improved the most the team that did half and half. The team that improved the second most was the team that did only mental work. And by far the least improvement came from the team that did only physical work. And I always think that's the most interesting study, especially when you're just like sitting at home right now. You know, like, no, you can do work without doing work.
So another one. Best way for a setter to improve the consistency of the set.
Hannah?
I think one thing you can do is definitely keep holding your finish. So after I call it a finish, some call it a release. It's, like I said, 2 very different things. So my whole thing is, if you want to know where the ball went and why it went there, look at how you finished. And then if you're limited to resources, that's one of the things. If you're lucky enough to have like an iPad and a tripod, you can just set it up and watch yourself and learn and see, oh, what did I do there? Oh, that felt really, really good. And that was a big thing. I know for me personally, when I got the set I wanted, I always try to remember, okay, what did I do and how do I do that over and over and over again? Because before that one that I did really well, I probably like messed up about 500. And it was like, oh my God, I want to get there. And then when you finally get it, it's like, okay, what did I do? So I probably got my feet there. And then I just held my finish, right? So if you see that your ball went tight, you were probably seeing that your left hand's probably in front of the right. So it's one of those things where you can start correcting yourself by yourself. You don't really need a coach to tell you like, hey, what did you, like, you need to do this, you need to do this. Like, no, actually I'm starting to feel what it feels like when I get a good ball. So I think it's just a matter of, as soon as you get it, what did you feel and how do you do that over and over and over again? Yep. So that, I mean, that's big with me.
That's basically like muscle memory. You know, like that's basically what Hannah's describing. It's muscle memory. How do you do the same thing over again and get that same feel? Always think about feeling over anything else. Like, you know what's interesting too is, I don't know, when you become an expert, so once you guys have been setting, some of you guys have been setting a very long time, like remember the little things. Like it's weird. Like after once you become an expert, you start messing up actually the little things, like just seeing the ball into your hands. Like that's what you actually start forgetting is all those little things. So keep reminding yourself of that kind of stuff. And then another thing, just playing off some of the stuff, I'm getting some private messages too. Like know that I like playing Hannah and I played at like the top level, and never once, I guarantee, I mean, I haven't talked about this, but I guarantee that she can say it. Like, I never played in a single match where I didn't make a crappy set. Not one. Not one. And I was at the professional level. Don't beat yourself up for making one bad set. It's going to happen. And you're going to continue to do that. And the more that you beat yourself up, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment because I can guarantee you're going to do it.
Do you have any more questions on the side, you said, Brian?
One more.
No on time here.
Well, just the soft. I don't know, Hannah. How do you feel about this? Someone was asking, do you think about like, do you ever talk about soft hands? Do you ever talk about that? I don't really talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I've heard about it. I used to say, oh, that girl has pretty hands or soft hands, just because I've actually seen setters and I've heard setters and they said it's like,
Yeah.
you know, so it's all about, oh, you heard that. But it would come out okay. So I'm like, what is happening? So soft hands is just like, for me, how I define it is just the ball comes out so clean and it just looks so flawless to me.
Yeah.
So it's almost one of those things where the ball comes out, you're like, wow, and you're almost in awe and you just watch the set and you admire it. Have I been told I have soft hands? No. No.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I usually just talk about touch. I just talk about what's your touch on the ball, what's that like, and that's about going through and kind of doing that back and forth. One thing I will say though, refs screw up the double call more than any other call, guys. So I look back, and the one thing that you guys all interpret, and I see that, and I see it every time on the course, is a ball will be spinning, and automatically every setter will think it's a double. A spin doesn't equal a double. It doesn't mean just because the ball is spinning doesn't mean a double. So I just want to make that point. Use this opportunity to make that point to the entire club also. I go, that's like the one time that I'll lose it on a ref, actually.
All right.
More.
You have a few more, Brian? Or there's one more. We have one about footwork. Practice setting footwork at home, but you guys talked about the cadence thing again.
I think we got that.
Yeah.
Getting over and over. One about things we can do because hopefully we get to start soon and just getting the hang of setting. Again, I think a lot of the cadence stuff, a lot of the touch stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know what, the number one, I do have something like that. I think the biggest issue is there's been times where I've taken like a month and a half off and literally done nothing and come back and friggin' balled. Like, honestly, and I'm just being honest. And I think there's this thing that happens where, and there's sometimes I've taken a month and a half off and I've come back and I've been terrible. But I think the issue is it's just like in your head, when you start telling yourself you need to do a bunch of different things, you're automatically kind of setting yourself up for that. I think there's a chance that, like, I think we kind of talk ourselves into, look, it's going to probably be a little rusty. You know, like, that's what it's going to be like. It's pretty likely it's going to be rusty. Embrace that. How often do you ever have this stuff kind of happen? You know, like, embrace that it's going to be rusty getting back. Realize everyone's rusty. I'm going to be rusty. I don't know what the heck I'm going to say to you guys. I'm going to go back. I'm like, I haven't talked to you guys a little bit. You know, like, just embrace that it's going to be a little bit rusty, and you'll get through that. I think that the sooner that you embrace that, rather than being like, I've got to be perfect the second I get back, the easier and the faster it's going to be. That's all I have for that question. Hannah?
No, that's good. That's good stuff, Brian.
All right, we'll go to the last one. Most important thing you guys think to remember while setting.
Oh, I got a lot of that. I got a lot of things that are important.
Go ahead, Hannah.
I mean, one of them is I know this is hard because you're involved with about 90% of what's going on the court. Don't beat yourself up because it's not going to be perfect. No reps are going to be perfect. You're not going to get a perfect pass every time. You're not going to get a kill every time. You're not going to get a perfect set every time. So be okay, you know, and just remember a mistake is just a way to learn, right? Use that as a learning opportunity and not like, oh my gosh, I messed up. It's like, yes, you did mess up, but how do you fix it? You know, so I think right now it's important that you remember, one, that you do play a really big role on the team, and that's not something you put pressure on yourself for. It's something that you get really, really excited about, right? And I think that's something where you can either use it to your advantage or it could be something that really, really makes you struggle, right? So that was something that I embraced because I wanted my team to win, and I was gonna do everything that I possibly could to make sure my team got there. So the first thing to remember is that yes, you play a key role, but don't be hard on yourself, right? Your coaches might get hard on you. Mine were always hard on me because I was that big person to make sure that I ran the offense, all that stuff. But I think it's okay to reward yourself, right? If you know you did a good set and you don't get told by anybody, like mentally, you're like, yes, okay, I did it, right? So I think it's important that you guys just have fun with it. You know how Coach Brian was saying, it's you against that middle. My goal every college match was to get 7 bad words out of that middle's mouth because I juked him out. That was my goal every single time, and I could hear it. And then my teammates knew that was my goal, and they'd always count with me. So it was fun. It was a fun little game that I played, and I think that's what kind of made the stress a little less. So I think just take the bull by the horns and run with it. Being a setter is really, really fun. So at least I think so. So I mean, those are things that I wish people told me when I was your guys' age. So Brian, do you have anything?
No, I thought you said that perfectly. The only thing that I would just add is just my thing is just that the one thing to remember is that it's a thoughtful position, like that you're in a thinking position, you know, and just be thinking out there, and that it's the one position where it's more thought process than anything else, you know, like you can actually get away with not being incredible if you're a really, really good thinker at that position, and there's not a whole lot of positions like that. So like I just think that that's the only thing I would add. And I just want to say thank you for you all being here. Incredible how many showed up to this, and I had so much fun just hanging out and talking and saying a couple terrible, like, silly things and teaching you some good volleyball. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. And so if any of you guys have any other questions and want to know anything, just reach out. Find a way to reach out. I will always come back with something and help you guys out through your journeys, your volleyball journeys. I was lucky enough to play with some of the best coaches in the world. I don't even particularly, you want to know the secret? I really, really like enjoy passing on that knowledge to all you guys more than anything else. So approach us, and Anna, once you get back, I can't wait till we get back in the gym. And when we do, approach us, ask us questions, let's chat. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. I want to say thank you so much. You guys are great.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
You've all been unmuted.
Thanks, Hannah and Jazz.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
I learned like one thing maybe, hopefully, and laughed like 2 times.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Hannah, you really broke that thing off that.
Bruh.
No, it was already broken.
Great question.
You broke it.
It was already broken. Okay, I gotta go because I have my 17th meeting with Brian right now.
Okay.
Bye.
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 That was good.